Today I want to introduce 6H, fractional indices and surds. So recently we've been working with positive indices, negative indices, the zero power. In today's video we'll be looking at fractional indices. So what that means is instead of having, for example, 5 to the power of 2, we can have indices as fractions. So for example, 5 to the power of half. So the key ideas in this section, the numbers written with fractional indices can also be written using a root sign. So the first one is here. A to the power 1 over m is the same as saying m root a. Or should I say m times the surd of a. So the example we have on the bottom is 2 surd a. This is also written as surd a. So this is one of the exceptions we have to remember. Okay, you're not always going to see the 2 in front of the surd of a. A couple of other examples. We have 3 to the power of 1 over 2. This can be written as the surd of 3. Remember that there's normally a 2 here that we don't write. 7 to the power of 1 over 3. This is the same as the cube root, should I say, of 7, which is 3 times the surd of 7. And in this example here, we have 2 times, or 2 to the power of 1 over 5. This is the same as saying 5 times the surd of 2. So remember, surds are irrational numbers written with a root sign. Okay, let me just highlight that. Surds are irrational numbers written with a root sign. Irrational numbers cannot be expressed as a fraction. Okay, that's another key term there. Irrational numbers cannot be expressed as a fraction. So on the right side here, we have the surd of 2. This is 1.4121356,237. So that number there is irrational because we cannot express this as a fraction. The decimal expansion is infinite and non-recurring with no pattern. So if something is non-recurring, it doesn't happen again, okay? So the example, if we skip to this one, 3 to the power of 1 over 2, this is the same as 1.73205080757. So for example, this one here, there's no pattern and nothing is recurring, okay? So let's try a few of these examples ourselves. So in A, write these numbers using a root sign. So this first one here, if there is 7 to the power of 1 over 2, you'll remember that we can take the 2 on the bottom and we can take that to the front. So this becomes 2 multiplied by the surd of 7, which you'll remember from our rules is the same as saying just the surd of 7. Okay? With B, it's 3 times, or should I say 3 to the power of 1 over 6. So 3 to the power of 1 over 6, you'll remember that you can take this 3 on the bottom, put it up to the front, and we'll have 6 multiplied by the surd of 3. Okay, let's try a few others. Evaluate 64 to the power of half. So we would remember that this is the same thing as saying 2 to the surd of 64, or square root of 64 should I say, which is the same as saying this. So we need to ask ourselves what number times itself 2 times will give us 64, and the answer will be 8. For B, this is asking you 216 to the power of 1 over 3. So that's the same as saying 3 times the surd of 216. Or in other words, what number times itself 3 times will give us 216? The answer for that will be 6. So to check that, 6 times 6 will give me 36. 36 times 6 again will give me 216. Okay. The last 3 I want to go through. Use index laws to simplify these expressions. So the first one, we have x to the power of half times x to the power of 5 over 2. You'll remember our first law, if they are the same base, we can then add the fractions. So x to the power of half plus 5 over 2 will give me 6 over 2. And we can simplify this to x to the power of 3. In example B, we have a to the 2 over 3 divided by 1 over 2. So you'll remember, if they are dividing and they have the same base, you can take away the fractions, or the powers, should I say. So let's do some maths on the side here. We have 2 over 3 multiplied by half. The common factor is 6. So put them both over 6. To get 3 to 6, you multiply it by 2. So you times the top by 2, which will give you 4. To get 2 to 6, you need to multiply this by 3. So you times this by 3 on top. 4 over 6 minus 3 over 6 will give me 1 over 6. So this becomes a to the power of 1 over 6. In example C, we have b to the power 1 over 3, all bracket 6. So this will be the same as saying b multiplied by 6 over 3, which will give us a value of b to the power of 2. So that's it from me. Hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you on the next one.